Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Johnson again with another great podcast along with Jenn Foster. Hey, Jenn.
Hey, everyone.
So, I've been thinking about traveling for a while, haven't been able to really travel, have some trepidations about travel. We have a travel expert with us today, but what I really want to tell you is that she's not just an expert in her field, which of course that's what we bring you, but she is in a business that is a second generation business that she's taken over. It's been around for 40 years. She has survived all the ebbs and flows of business during that time, including most recently COVID, and she's in the travel industry and mostly cruises. So I really want to know how she did it. I want to know the history of this company. So I hope you want to know too, because we're going to find out some really great secrets that she had to pivot her business and keep her business. So thank you, Tammy Weiler, for coming today. Thanks for coming. We're really happy to have you.
Oh, thank you, Melanie and Jenn. I'm happy to come on and share what I do. Hopefully it'll help some of your folks.
Awesome. Well, Tammy, tell us a little bit about your background and how you started in this and how your family started this company.
Yeah, my mom is the one that started our company in 1980. She came to us at the dinner table when I was a kid and said, you know what, guys, I think I want a career. I want to do something with the rest of my life. And I looked at her and she'll never let me forget this. And I said, future? What future, Mom? And she was only like 40 years old at the time. So she started a brick and mortar travel agency, which some of your listeners or viewers, if they're young, may not even know what that means. But people used to go in and get airline tickets issued by hand in person and get a physical ticket. So she started our business in the 1990s. I had been living in New York and moved back to Chicago, was working with her and had every intention of doing corporate incentives, which was my background. And I met a lady who was doing singles events. She was looking for somebody to do travel. I had expertise in group travel, and I love to take people to places all over the world. And so after a year of catering to a singles 40s, 50s age range, I realized it was a really cool niche. And there was a big need for helping people go on vacation.
Wow. So how did you took that niche and you had the corporate structure from your mom, and then you kind of just fell into it, it sounds like. What were some of the key things that you learned along the way while you were starting the business out, and some of the pitfalls that you had? Because a lot of times everyone thinks, oh, it was just so easy breezy, but you have pitfalls along the way.
Sure. I think one of the first things was when I came from this environment where I was serving Fortune 100 companies, because I think one of the things that people do when they start a business is they're really good at something, and then they say, but they don't want the boss. So they leave a situation and they want to be their own boss, and they're really good at something. Running a company and wearing a lot of hats takes so many skills. And so I would say that one of the key things that you really need to lean into, and if you're not good at sales, get somebody who's good at sales. You have to be able to sell who you are. So I had that skill set. That's not a problem. The other thing that I didn't understand, though, was the financial part. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm good with numbers, I save my money and all of that. I wasn't, I was more about the experience than making sure that I was bringing in more money than I was paying out. So I was creating these awesome experiences, and I didn't really earn an income in the beginning. So I was able to do that because I stepped into a business that was already existing, and it was my mom. So we had another side to the business. So I was able to dabble with the singles and not have to make a profit, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would say that you definitely want to have two skills, sales And if you're not the salesperson, get the salesperson and have somebody really strong on your finances so that you're watching that you're making a profit on a regular basis, because not everybody could last the long term if you're not making money. That's what it's about. You have to make a lot, but you got to make more than you spend.
Yeah, I really like how you talked about the hats, because a lot of times people think, oh, I'm going to start this business, but they don't think about all the different hats, like you were saying, the finance or the sales or the different little sections of it. And so hiring that out is a really great tip, or getting other people to do that. It's really
good. Another pitfall, if you want, was that I actually did try to do a lot of things myself. It's a blessing or a benefit that my intelligence level was such that I could handle a lot of different things, or at least I thought at the time, because I just told you I wasn't good at the finances, instead of hiring that. So you make a good point, Jen. Lean into people who have the strength in that background, because one of the things that happens to entrepreneurs is we get really burnt out, because we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend the money on the staff, but you end up doing things yourself. You don't do it as well, and you can burn out very, very fast.
How did you transition from old school, like pre-internet, to internet?
Okay. So I was on the cusp. When I started in 1993 with Singles Travel International, I had a website. It was my first version. I think we're on version 6 or 7 right now. It was just a flat page. So things were pretty old fashioned at that point, old school. Mm-hmm. And I just stayed abreast of the technology. And it's something that might sound strange to some of your viewers or listeners, because I'm about to be 60. And so we didn't have the technology for a really long time. And my age range doesn't really love technology, which, by the way, which is one of the reasons for our success right now, because a lot of our travelers are not tech savvy. So we're very helpful in that way. That won't be forever. And so I had to stay on top of it. I had to make sure that I learned technology, that I was able to understand the meetings that were being conducted around a new website. So I know enough to make the decisions and move us forward and stay forward moving as a company, as a team. And that's really important. So that's I just made the transition through staying up to date on what was coming down the pike and learning things.
So you must have had to really have a really great customer service center and calls and all those things, which I think today a lot of people are falling away from, because they have the online forums and online chats and online texting. But I feel like you still need that personal touch. So how do you stay, what do you do that keeps your customer service at the top notch?
Yes, we had to dedicate a person on our team, although it's small, but somebody takes care of our help center inbox every day. We clean it out, and we had to focus on it. So each quarter we have quarterly meetings, and we come up with priorities as a team. And we were failing in that area. So even though we had the technology, they're able to make the website bookings because of the age range. But I guess even regardless of the age range these days, there are people that are still always going to need that human touch. So we focused on it in a period of time. We got the right person in place. And although that's not her full-time task list, she spends an hour or an hour and a half a day making sure everybody, and she does it, and it's split. So first thing in the morning, last thing at the end of the day, we make sure that box is cleaned out. And of course, you have to answer the phone calls and return them the same day. Certain courtesies. What makes it even challenging is today, I always say, if you're having a small business, you've got to meet your members or your customer where they want to meet you. So I'm pinged on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, telephone calls, emails. Oh my gosh, it's from anywhere, except that's where they want to touch base with you when the time that they want to touch base. I still encourage some boundaries. So keep that in check, guys, because you're not a 24/7 unless your business is. But if it is, you're going to need to get the right people. So we just had we have a dedicated person who's responsible for customer service, and we also measure. We have an NPS score metric that we follow. Every trip we do a survey, and we ask a number of questions, but we have one in particular that's that keystone question that ranks us. And so we saw a dramatic increase in that score once we made that dedicated customer service person.
I love that you say you got to meet your customers where they are. So knowing your target market, your avatar, because even in our business, we have clients who are not tech savvy and we have some that are tech savvy. So we know that we got to take the time with them, and having that personal touch is a big deal because it's gone away so much that I think if you're offering that is wonderful, and that you've dedicated a person. So what I see is that you saw a weak point and then you addressed it. And that seems like what you're doing is, okay, here's the weak point. How do we change that? How do we make it better? And have those quarterly meetings. A lot of times businesses don't do that. They don't reassess their business every quarter and look at their numbers every quarter or even every month for that matter. You were talking about the numbers. I always tell my sons the hardest thing to learn after school is the finance part. Like if you can learn that while you're going to school, otherwise you feel like you're always trying to catch up to learn the numbers. What is a balance sheet? What am I supposed to get out of the balance sheet? What's my cash flow? So if they can learn that ahead of time, you're ahead of the game. Tell us, I mean, the industry has gone through a shock wave like so many industries have during COVID. And travel was hit really hard. What did you do to pivot and innovate during that time?
Well, thanks, Melanie. I think we all want to hear a nugget about that. Like, how did they make it in travel? Oh my gosh, they're still here. I mean, I have clients calling, are you guys still in business? Yes, we are. Come on. Well, one of the things that we did, again, we stayed together. We lost part of our team. As a CEO, I have 3 purposes. And one is funding. I'm responsible for making sure we stay funded and we move forward. My second responsibility is building a team. And my third is making sure our vision stays in front of everybody and stays alive. And we're really strong in the vision and the team culture. So even though we're small, everybody knows where we're headed. Everybody understands the challenges, and we have a set of values that we all esteem. If you don't, we don't keep you on, and that's kind of how we hire and lead. And people leave if they're not a good value fit because there's probably a better place for them. But right now, our team is all on the same page for the values. And open and honesty is one of the sets. And so I've been able to, as a leader, be very, very upfront with my team, share the highs, the lows, the nights when I had a sleepless night. And so we were working very close together. I was able to get the PPP twice. And I'm kind of hoping that there's another opportunity for that. Because of the second Delta variant, except that, I'm still looking for other ways to keep us going. So we're not in dire straits at all, but just being open and honest with my team so that they knew that I'm strong. But then there's moments where I have insecure moments, right? Because I never went through COVID before, even though we lasted all the other things, like you said earlier, Melanie, all the trials and tribulations of the travel industry. And I guess for me personally, like when we started with COVID, we were transacting on PayPal, nice numbers. Okay. And they came to us in June and they just said, we're cutting off the relationship because we are not going to work with travel agents at all. So I don't know if a lot of people know, but the entire banking industry, out of the fear that the consumers would start declining charges, just severed relationships. So a lot of travel companies lost that. And I wrote to the CEO at PayPal. I said, I am going to make it. You don't know me. I said, please look at this as a unique scenario. Here's what I made it through. I've been through this and this and this and this and this, without naming tomorrow 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the lowest points in my life. And I had multiple conversations with their accounting people, and they said, why are you going to make it? And I said, we made it through 9/11. That was probably the lowest point in my my leadership journey up until COVID. And I said, we made it through that. And it was, I mean, there were days where I was running out to the mailbox to see if a check was in the mail, right? But you persevere. It's grit. It's belief in myself and belief in my team, and continually telling them, hey guys, look at what we've done before. We've got this. In fact, I created the hashtag we got this 100% exclamation point. And that was in all my emails. And so I think that what helped us make it through is that the team had direction. We were convicted. They love what they do. They love the team. And we kept trying new things, including when 2020 kind of Q2, 3, 4, nothing was happening.
Yeah.
We launched a new website and it was called Single Life Today. And we created a virtual event site to help our singles stay connected. We know not only were they quarantining, most of the world was quarantining, right? But if you're single, you probably live alone. So the loneliness that they were experiencing was a reality that we felt, because one of our other values is caring and compassion. And so we created this event space so that we could do connection on all different levels. And it has developed into some really cool things for us in relation to the travel too right now. So that was an innovation that the team came up with. We created a membership structure, so people paid us for the events. And again, I would just kind of recommend to people, when you try something new, if it's not exactly, keep listening to your customers, keep honing it, keep tweaking it. So we ended up putting the membership out, and it wasn't super successful in the beginning until we added an element that solved a huge problem for singles. And it was age old, but we still didn't nail it until we started getting the feedback. And once we added travel discounts for singles who want their own space, their own cabin, their own room, the memberships started pouring in. And so that is what, even though they weren't traveling, the concept that in the future they were going to get a discount on their travel was compelling. So that helped us quite a bit through 2020. And now we continue to offer that membership to our members, that upgraded a membership to our members today.
Awesome. Well, tell us about some of the fun trips that you have planned or that you've been on. And I know I do want to hear about, before COVID hit, you had a cruise that went around the world. So tell us about that one first, and then tell us
my gosh. Okay. So Jen, that's a short story because it didn't happen thanks to COVID. We were supposed to do the Queen Mary 99 nights. And we had such high hopes for personal development for people on that cruise, fun, seeing the world, and then like growing, because we were like, you could learn to dance, you could learn to play piano. There were so many potentials. So I think we're going to do that again in 2024. And in the meantime, I want people to know that there are opportunities for travel. We want to be able to respect the different positions that people are taking, because on a 1 to 10 spectrum, there's a number all along the way. We're all approaching this from a very individual way. We have been traveling since fall of last year. We have practiced all the safety protocols. We are respecting one another. And we recently actually did announce that we will ask for vaccinated travelers only because a lot of the places around the world are mandating the proof of the vaccines before you get into the country, before even going to dinner, et cetera. There's apps now. So we don't want our members to miss out on anything. We want them to have that full experience. And by the way, statistically speaking, all of the programs that we operated since September, well, not since February of this year, because the vaccine wasn't out, only one person was not vaccinated. So we got together as a team, and our NPS score dipped because two people said that they didn't feel as comfortable with us, or they wouldn't recommend us because we weren't mandating it. So we thought, okay, since everybody's vaccinated who's traveling and our members are asking for it and we're getting feedback that they would feel much more comfortable, let's make the decision. And it delivers the most rounded experience for our travelers when they get to the different places. So with all that said, we went to Greece this summer. We just finished Sicily. We did Santa Fe, New Mexico. We have a Scottsdale coming up. We have Vegas for New Year's Eve. We have a New Year's Eve cruise, which is how I met Jen in 2017. We did a New Year's Eve cruise every year for 26 years before COVID. So we skipped the year. We're going to go back again this year. We have Costa Rica next year, Israel and Egypt. So the world is opening up, and it has been open. There's just some extra steps that you have to take before you leave home. And for some people, that's too much. And we get that. We'll be here when you're ready. But for those who are willing to travel, I believe it's worth it. And I'm a passionate world traveler. Personally going to be taking a group to France on October 1st. So I'm looking forward to that experience. And that's on a sailing vessel. So the news is a great source. Just continue to seek out information because people are able to travel. And again, if you're vaccinated and you're feeling comfortable, the world is your oyster once again.
Yes, I love that hope, because a lot of world travelers or people that want to see the world or have all these dreams and goals, and they're like, oh, we can't travel anymore. But it's not true. You can travel, and people have been traveling since, like you said, since fall of last year. It's just you have to take extra steps, get COVID tests, and be vaccinated and different things to get to where you want to go. Find out what the requirements are.
So tell us where we can find you, Tammy.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we have a website. It's www.singlestravelintl.com, or you can do the longer version. I'm going for the Guinness Book of World Records. That would be something I would change, Melanie, in the next business, is make my website shorter. Singles Travel International in full also will get you to us. Singlelife.today will also take you to our site, and that's our event page. And we're, of course, on all the social media. So we're at Singles Travel International for the most part. And yeah, we're here and we're waiting for you when you're ready.
Awesome. We'll put the links up on the show notes as well as on the YouTube description page, so you can check out the links and visit her website and follow her on social media.
Thanks, Tammy, for coming. And we want to remind you to subscribe to our podcast, because we always have great guests and tons of information to give you to help you grow. And we want to remind you, if you're looking to publish a book, to look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We make all of our authors #1 bestsellers, and we do everything for you, from writing, publishing, and marketing your book all in one place. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.